to another episode of Wicked Darkness. I'm Kathy. I am not the host this time. Heather's the host. and we have Kevin. We're trying something new. Heather wanted to try to take over on this part of the this episode, and I was fine with it. So we're trying something new. So bear with us. And we're going to be talking about the current events. I know it sounds like school again, current events, social studies, all that. But this time we're talking about the current events of the Conjuring House. And we're going to be talking about what has been happening in the court system with Jason Hawes and all the things that are going on there, along with, correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about the Warren house as well. A little bit about the Warrens?
A little bit, yep.
A little bit? Okay.
Yeah, and the museum, the announcement of the museum.
All right. Well, you know what, Heather? It's your show. Go ahead.
Alrighty.
Throwing you under the bus.
According to the Google, today is actually the ribbon cutting ceremony at 8 o'clock tonight in Salem, Massachusetts for the new Warren Museum.
Oh,
woohoo!
Live?
So, I went on the website and I was like, what does it all entail exactly to get into the museum? Because as of next, I believe, next week, Wednesday, they are starting to sell tickets. So, tickets are $50 a person for what they're calling a flashlight tour. Flashlight with an A, not an E. Kevin. They will include 13 rooms in Cole, and other original collection. The website mentions an investigator experience coming soon, but they're really not about what the experience includes. The disclosures for the tour: no audio, video, cell phone use. That is grounds to be removed. So you will be asked to put away any type of audio or video equipment in your pocket or in a approved container, apparently, before you're going through the museum for your 1 hour tour. Flashlighted and expected to return at the end of tour. They have merch packages starting at $66.60. So if you're looking for that, includes t-shirt, tote bags, stickers, very swaggy.
Mm-hmm.
You can even opt for a demonologist package, which includes t-shirt, tote bag, stickers, lanyard that says you are a demonologist for $166.60. So if that would be something y'all are interested in, you can always go on the website to order your tickets. Obviously, you have to get yourself out there if you are not local to the area, so that will be an assist. But for an hour, you get to go view some of the Conjuring / Warren Museum relics. So that is run by Elon S.E.W.P.I.T, and Matt. They will both be there for the ribbon cutting ceremony tonight. They didn't really mention much about it, but looks like that's what they're doing. And Elton Casti has a holding company named Summit and Stone LLC. That is actually the company that is noted to be purchased mortgage of the Conjuring House. But nobody's ever been kind of at or follows Jason or Taps. The leader of Taps, Jason Hawes, states he owns the deed to the Conjuring House with the former owner. And Casti has claimed that his holding company purchased the mortgage that is tied to the property in the sum of $1 million. A Pennsylvania at Hawes made prima facie case for ownership. So I looked it up because I was like, I don't know any Latin or law. So for those of us who are new to law and definitions, it means at the face of it. In court, in regards to a case or proofs to win by itself. if otherwise the opposition brings in proof to beat or disprove it. So basically it's on Cassidy to actually has ownership of the home. Hawes was granted a temporary restraining order. I believe that was earlier this year. Against Cassidy and associates. They are not allowed on without extensive consent. So I don't know if they were measuring things or planning things they were exactly doing, but Hawes apparently got a temporary restraining order granted custody. Supposedly there was a court case or a deposition of some sort planned for yesterday, but as far as I could see, that there were no updated court filings like that. So I don't know if it was public record just yet. If it all has to do with the restraining order, or I was also trying to block 2 people from testifying in the case. I don't. They had ruled exactly on that yet. If they were trying to keep them out or in, or what was really going on as far as that went. So I was watching a live stream he had going on a week ago with another paranormal investor. He's called Scare sort. We had a bunch of people from like horror teams come out. It's almost kind of like like what Milwaukee does. So he was on there and he was talking about how they've had several depositions, for more information to come out, but he literally can't say much of anything. His lips are kind of sealed at this point. So not much is included with the court rulings just yet, but it does sound like things are kind of moving forward. What has been kind of released sounds like maybe it is more in Hawes' favor. He's saying he's ready for the truth to come out. He wants to be done and over with. He wants to get back to doing what he wants to do, which is restoring the home, making it accessible to other paranormal, not charging $1 million to try and, be a part of the community, and just to like keep it within the historical relevance of it and not making it a spectacle is basically how I took it. With that being said, Cassidy and Matt Rife also own the Ed and Lorraine Warrn home, which they have since turned it into an Airbnb. When I went on the website, it did say that it is $666 a theme going with them. They really like to use that number a lot. I wonder why. And that is for Thursdays, Tuesday through Thursday, it looked like. And then days, it's $1,300 a night.
What?
Now,
yeah.
Yeah, $1,300. So it is per night, not per guest, which I guess is beneficial. But you're allowed 8 total guests for the Airbnb. It is private access starting at 5:30 p.m. until 1:30 p.m. the next day. You have access to Ed's den, Lorraine's office, a demonology apartment, Warren's bedroom, doll room, Halloween room, spiritual sanctuary, gazebo, and the museum. I did a little museum, so it does sound like because they have moved several of the items out of the basement museum that was shut down in 2017. So Annabelle, there is a demon statue of some sort, and other like kind of notable items is what they're calling it, and they're being replaced with other possessed items is what they're along with your stay, you have access to their equipment, which is worth $25,000. It's monitored by trains. There is like a central location in the kitchen, I guess, where everything's labeled. Somebody who's staying there has access but they don't provide SD cards. So if you are planning on using any
Hmm.
of the equipment, you can't use any of your own equipment, but you are allowed to bring SD cards to record audio and video if that is something you like to do. But here is the Kacharuski. So,
Mm-hmm.
you have access to the hallway and the museum from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., but it is monitored by trained staff from that time. And then there's CCTV that can be viewed from the Airbnb, but it is all closed circuit television. So you aren't really able to record anything from the museum or the hallway that you only have access to for 6 hours. So there's that. The passageway is locked and secured after 1 a.m. And then if you are planning on like posting any of the video or audio, it is required that it be reviewed and approved within 72 hours by their staff. And then you included, not even included in your overnight stay, I should say, additionally, you have filming fees as well. So if you would like to post anything on social media, it ranges from $0, which is like less than a 10-second clip, up to $400 per clip, depending on the length of time. So if you want to do a 40-minute clip from your night on your own social media, it is $400 per clip.
I thought they were making this so it was affordable for people to come in. They weren't going to gouge people. Wasn't that their words when they took the thing over originally?
Yeah, and apparently it sounds like if you have a lot of money, it's not going to be too expensive for you, but the
Right.
average, I mean, it's hard to say because I know that we've talked to other paranormal teams on lives before about
Mhm.
like how much they places, as we call them, pay to play places.
Right.
I personally feel like 700 is kind of insane, unless obviously you have a very large team, like 8 people, and then it does become a little more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it is, so you still have to get there if you're not local.
Right.
So that's where the expenses start tallying. And then if you are like a team post things about your experience there, you are getting taxed additionally. So I don't really think that that's true, that it's affordable necessarily, especially if you want to do a Friday, Saturday, which if we're a small team like how we are,
Mm-hmm.
we all have daytime jobs. We have obligations with family and friends that we plan this out ahead of time. So obviously we would be kind of in that Friday, Saturday special possibly, where it's easiest for us to make time to do that. And now it's double
Right.
what they were originally saying is going
And
to
that's
cost.
just to stay there. That's not even
Yes.
including if we want to post anything.
Right. And you can't bring your own equipment. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you got to bring your own SD card and your own, mini SD or whatever. And then
Right.
it has to be approved by them first before you do anything. So, like, what if something's not approved? Do they just scrub it off your SD card automatically?
Right.
And then they can charge you additionally for, using footage that you weren't approved to use. And I feel like it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
But
And
never fear, Kathy, because they're also selling
mm-hmm.
vintage Raggedy Ann dolls. Because
Oh
if
boy.
you
Oh, she froze.
and
She
a
did.
cool two,
She froze on
She
it.
froze for a second.
You
have
froze.
a memento.
There was a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, you'll have to repeat the vintage
Oh,
Raggedy
it is
Ann doll part.
it is a vintage Raggedy Ann doll for $200.
Oh,
What?
come on.
I can go to the local
Okay, so
store and get one for like $5.
right.
No, these are vintage though, Kathy. You don't understand?
So is
Yeah.
the
You'll never find another one like it. It is between 24 and 28 inches tall.
Oh boy.
Okay, that challenge is on. Now I'm gonna find one.
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna start selling these
That's
at a
my goal
discount.
now. I'm gonna go find one.
Hmm.
And then,
So,
for us to pay for our investigations, we're gonna start selling Raggedy Ann dolls.
there you go.
Now,
So
is that Susie or is that Bella?
that's Bella, the director. Say hi.
Yes. So I think we could get little black labs and then put little handkerchief ghost scarves on them, and Bella, the director, could be sold for $200.
Exactly. And she's the sensitive. So, she's the one that does all the work.
Right.
So, yeah, that's insane.
So I have a $1
$200.
million question. Like, so you talk about some of the rules that are in the house and areas that you're not allowed to film, and I've heard you say a couple of times that the house is monitored under CCTV by trained staff.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they trained to do? I mean, what are they watching for? So and where are they located? Are these people that are part of their staff that are onshore here at the States, or is it a surveillance team overseas? Like, and is any of that being recorded? So what are they doing with them reviewing me and I'm in the house? And what are they looking for?
I feel like partly it's the equipment, because it says you have to have a credit card on file, because if any of the equipment is damaged on purpose, you could be charged to replace it.
Sure.
Or damage to the home. So I feel that's like, okay, whatever.
Right.
But some of the other points that they had made were like no smoking or vaping on the grounds, not even on the porch, out front. You're only allowed to smoke or vape around the fire pit, which is also not used for fires. So don't even ask about putting a fire out there in the fire pit.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
And then after 10 p.m., no loud activity or noise outside, which makes sense. That's in a residential neighborhood.
Right.
So I get it, but also, I don't know.
I understand. Okay, so we've been to locations that they've had CCTV on us before. But they're doing it, and I get it. They're doing it for security, purposes. They want to make sure that we're not damaging their property. I totally understand that. But the fact that you're making me use your equipment, and then I have to bring in my SD card, fine, whatever. But you're making me use your equipment, and then you're charging me to go
Buy clip.
and yeah, basically, I get that you own the stuff, but if it's on my SD card, then I own it.
You would think. And that comes into context of are they scrubbing it? Are they editing it in some way?
Right. Because then that's my personal.
In charge of approving.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we went to the Oshkosh Theater, and we had that nice gentleman who worked there who kindly stayed until we were done investigating up at the front. He was there for safety. It wasn't like he was following us around like, don't touch that. What are you doing? Why are you asking that? Don't take a picture over there.
Right. Yeah. Because I feel like you're I get that you want people to come in, you want to trust these people that are coming in, and most of these people are going to be genuine. They're going to want to go and be as close as they can to the Warrens as possible. I understand that. But when somebody is following me around, and I have kind of like a pet peeve about that. Like, if you're gonna follow me, then why am I paying this astronomical money? Am I paying you to be here? And then you're telling me what I can and cannot. Just close the doors, and then I know I can't go into those doors. Lock the doors or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think again, it's you're paying the $666. That's basically $100 an hour to have access to the museum and the passageway is what they're calling it. But and I feel like copy pasted the idea of the Warren home as an Airbnb, because they have all these little rooms set up, right? Like there's a doll room, and there's a and then there's here's his office, and then you go to Salem, set up the same way. where it's here's the this, and here's the Annabelle area, here's the other thing that we're gonna tell you. Your 1 hour guided tour. Congratulations. Like,
right, right. And I think a lot of it has to
gift
do,
shop on the way out.
right. I think a lot of it has to deal with, they're trying to save face with the amount of money that they have put forth into fixing up the house. They have to pay their lawyers and, the investors or whatever. But it just seems like you came in telling everybody we're going to make this affordable for everybody. We're not going to be gouging you. That's not what we're about, and that's exactly what you did. And I get it. People are gonna, I saw a thing with Matt saying he was doing a tour of the museum. He even says he doesn't stay in the house. It freaks him out or whatever. And he's like, oh, you're booked out. Well, great. But like you said, Heather, you're booked out because those people are local and they don't have to worry about the expense of traveling there? Or is it where you've got people that are traveling there and they're willing to pay that because they just want to be a part of it and they'll just do whatever? I mean, to me, it seems like those people are just there to be a part of the Warrens, not to find out why the items are haunted and the research behind it and stuff like that. I don't think that's what the Warrens wanted out of their legacy, is this whole mess that they've created.
Well, and you gotta wonder too, is that when I was watching that interview with Jason, the other investigator, he was talking about in Ed's autobiography that Ed supposedly had released, had talked about certain things. So the idea of having objects is not what they had taught. They said people can be possessed. Objects can have attachments. There's a tone with it. So I kind of wonder, and I know like Kevin had talked to me that like the Paranormal Society used to meet there, and then it got moved to a separate building. So a lot of the stuff was actually doing the paranormal meetings instead. So now if things are truly possessed with, spirit, energy, whatever, you're into a different location that it wasn't at. So now is that going to stop something that like wasn't really there?
Right.
You're rotating things in and out. Got to be some type of, I don't know. I feel like there should be some type of accountability of some sort. They're saying no loud and no, candle burning and anything like that. So I don't know. It just seems interesting that they are that this is animal societies as a whole KB.
I can't believe they're fully sold out and booked until
January,
April of next year. Now, if you look at their site,
looked it up and it says there's 3 spots for 2027, and
February.
Oh, is it February now?
Yeah, January 1 spot's open. February's got 3, and then all other months are sold out. Well, September has 1 night opened up, but otherwise, they're booked until April, and May spots open in October.
Yeah.
So it's impressive.
And I did some.
Hopefully, they've recouped their money by the end of this.
Well, I did some quick calculations. So without all of the merch, as an on average, income will be $204,000 a year, and that doesn't include the video clips that they could be charging for. So, you're looking at probably upwards of $1,000 a year in just revenue, and I don't put $500,000 worth of work into that house.
Right.
Between what they've had to do of transporting everything from the house to the museum, the renovating of the house, all the legal fees, website hosting, everything else. I mean, I'm sure they've spent a lot of money, but I would think within 3 or 4 years they'll recoup.
Yeah.
Quickly.
So hopefully by 2030.
Cassie does have his own title company, like Umbrella Corp or whatever you want to call it. Like, fees that are a little less expensive for them in that aspect of like their business preferred. They're just a person who's going to court for something. Legally, it just becomes a loop of like the everyday person is not going to be able to fight something that they say no to.
Right.
They have a whole legal team on their back end. As you signed up for this, you agreed to all of these things. You have a contract stating that we can say no to anything, and you have no repercussions.
Right. They're gonna look. They've got every loophole covered.
Right.
I wish they did what they did prior to Ed and Lorraine passing. They would do like dinner events, and they'd bring some of the artifacts, and they would do like, dinner with the Warrens, or after Ed passed, it was dinner with Lorraine. I'd love to see something like that with Tony, and I don't think Judy really wants to be attached to all of that, but it'd be really cool to hear some of the stories from Tony's words of history of things inside the house, what it was like growing up there.
Or even
that'd be a cool experience. I'd pay for that.
Even part of their team that they had, their team members that
Chris Gilleran.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, that's very true.
I hate to see it when these people that I don't know, what do they call them for the YouTube and what are they, the not creators, what are they called?
Influencers.
YouTubers? I don't know.
No, yeah, besides the YouTubers, the socials right now.
Too far away.
I'm in the basement. It's technically like right above me. This stupid thing. Whatever. Yeah, right now you two are like frozen in time on my screen. Oh, Kevin, you're moving now a little bit there. Heather, you're still frozen in time.
Strange.
Listen, Robert, we're fine. We're okay.
Froze.
It's okay.
On the way from the oncologist appointment, I was kind of thinking maybe we could create a Annabert doll.
A
hybrid.
A hybrid of it. What did I see? I saw somebody that had like something like a hybrid. Would you stop it, Henry J?
Now, which part?
Just in time for Halloween. Yeah.
Which part's the man?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, mine's still.
Nice.
I don't understand why mine's still frozen. What the hell? Like, your audio is coming through fine, but the video is frozen in time.
Strange.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't want to connect to my printer. What the hell?
This is a Kathy problem at this point.
I know, right? I got like 2 bars, but then like the printer has like full bars. That's so weird.
The printer just joins the conversation and says something.
AI thing. Oh my god, you can't make this crap up.
Okay, so anyway.
Welcome back to Wicked Darkness. That's all I got to say, baby.
Yeah.
Put down the camera.
So, just for the people that are trying to figure out what we're talking about, our computers completely shut us off as we're having a conversation. So this is technically part two, the continuation.
Hard cut.
I'm having like internet issues where I don't have right now. Heather and Kevin are both frozen in time on my side.
Yeah, and you're just fine on my side, so I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. It's the glitch matrix thing going on. We poked Robert one too many times apparently, and he's saying that's enough of you guys. We're done. And
My
they
fault.
shut it off. So oh, only wicked darkness. And then I've got my, Henry over here who's barking at everything. Sorry.
It's
This is what happened. We have not done a podcast in so long that everything that could go wrong is going wrong with this episode. So
we're gonna let it go, put it in the universe, it'll be fine.
right,
Everything's a-okay.
right. We're gonna be like Elsa and Anna. Let it go. All right. So to what we were discussing, right? So they've got this huge following. They've got the lawyers that have the Benzes and the Rolls Royces and stuff like that that are taking care of their stuff. So they got bills they got to pay to keep up with all that stuff along with the house itself. But then don't say you're going to be having it affordable to all the other people that are not able to have that kind of green in their pocket.
Gosh. Mm-hmm.
Because you're lying to everybody at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, with that being said, I know, Kevin, you just went to the museum for Zach Bagans, the haunted museum there in Vegas. How much, like, did you get charged to go through that museum?
I want to say the VIP price was like $80 or something. I feel like it was under $100. It wasn't terribly expensive, and it was 2.5 hours. So it was I feel like it was really well done. Um they switched off guides so that people really knew the material in each room of the house really well, the museum. Um and you got a little bit of your own exploring time. They just kind of leave you off to do your thing. They do have some interesting commonality, like you aren't supposed to take pictures with your own phone, no video. So they rent you a Polaroid camera and you're allowed 10 or 12 pictures. I think it's 10. And then there's a couple of rooms that are just off limits. Under no circumstances are you allowed to take Polaroids. So, but I'd say for what you pay and what you get to spend time doing, it's worth it. But yeah, it's not like the Warrens, but I'd say that Warrens probably have 10 times the artifacts that Zach has.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's got a lot, but I know the Warrens have collected over their entire 40, 50-year career.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so say Jason does get full rights to Conjuring House, complete, say over what is he owns it,
Yep.
lock, stock, and barrel. He owns it. Is he going to be the same though? Is he going to sit there and go, well, you guys are going to have to rent my equipment. I have to approve everything. You can't just take pictures of whatever you want. And oh, by the way, it's also going to cost you like $2,000 to stay there overnight. Stuff like that. Or is he going to do
I mean,
it
he could.
for everybody? Even the little guys that want to, teams that want to go in there, is he going to make it affordable?
Yeah.
And say, okay, You guys can use your equipment. You can use our equipment for a cost, but if you don't want to use our equipment, you can use your own equipment. We just want to, if you're going to post something, we want to see it first. We're not going to charge you, but we want to see it first and say yes or no to it. Which,
I
okay
think
with that.
I think where it's going to be challenging is Conjuring House has a history,
Mhm.
and it it's active, and it's got a documented history of it being active. Warren's house, I mean, the museum probably has, well, it does. It has some documented history of what happened inside of the museum, but it's very different. They're very different from one another in that respect. So
Right.
a lot of it's isolated to one location, Conjuring House, the property, the house, it's all known for having portals on the property, things happening in and out of the house. So you kind of, that's tough because you almost want to make it price restrictive where the people that are coming,
Mhm.
they're very serious about what they're coming there for.
Right.
And you're paying for a very different experience. So if Jason even charged $2,000 a night and it supported 8 people, to me that's worth it. I know that's expensive, but it's such a different experience.
Where you have that
Right.
type of
But
history, you have other paranormal groups that can come forward and say like, "Yep, this is 100% what happens there," or "This is our experience there." You know, it's been not just the last year; it's been 15, 20, 30 years that people have said the same thing that's going on there. You know, so it's not new. I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
yeah. But then too, what's the time frame too? Because we all know to do a proper investigation, it's hard to do it in just 8 hours. You can't just investigate a place once either and be able to sit there and
And not a property and not a property the size of the Conjuring House. The house itself isn't enormous, but it's on 200 plus acres.
right,
So if you want to explore portal history and the rumors of where those exist, okay, now you got to decide where you putting your team. And to
right.
your point, Kathy, like how do you do that in 8 hours? You can't.
You
So
can't.
you might spend 3 days in the house and 3 days outside, and you've scratched the surface.
Right. Because, okay, so if you're just going there to be an enthusiast and you're being the ghost hunter and just there for fun and see what you can capture or whatever, that's one thing. But for those of us that are actually out there researching and want to figure out what is there, we've all seen what has happened with the parent family and what they went through. Obviously, the Conjuring franchise has embellished a lot of things for TV purposes. But for us to do a legitimate investigation and research of the location, you're going to have to do it a few times, more than a few times, because every time you go back
Yeah.
to the location, something else happens, and then you have to go back and research that and what happened there, and has anybody else experienced that, and it takes time. So then you add that up. You say you go there 4 times for an 8-hour investigation, you're paying $2,000 each time.
Yeah, you can't do
That's
that.
insane. That's insane. And
Well,
then,
even if you're at oh, sorry.
well, then you gotta put in, if you don't live close, the travel time. Are you flying? Are you driving? The time that you take away from your work and your family, that all starts to add up. And then you have to sit there as an investigator. Is it going to be worth it? As much as I'd like to be on the bucket list for, the Conjuring House, is it really worth it? And if you're
Yeah,
going
I'd have to.
put the handcuffs on a lot of things that we do as investigators, is it truly worth it?
Yeah. Yeah, if it came with the rules of clip review, $400 a clip, plus you're spending that money, the travel, the time,
Mm-hmm.
not interested. I mean, I can't even on a good salary, I can't afford that, right? So it's
Right.
it's cost prohibitive to your point. I mean, other teams can probably justify it that have a more backed budget, whether
Mm-hmm.
they're getting monetized on YouTube or whatever the case may be, but that's a minority of the paranormal world of the investigation teams that are out there. Most of us we all have day jobs. We're not rich.
Mm-hmm.
We do this as our passion in our spare time. And so, yeah, hopefully if Jason does open the doors to it, it's got some minimum night stays and it's not the handcuffs like you describe, right? Because
Right.
that doesn't feel like that doesn't feel like you're opening it with open arms and a welcome. It's it's just another business model like what we've
Mm-hmm.
seen at the Warrens. And I understand you need to make your money back, but
Mm-hmm.
don't make it a pain in the ass.
Right. Right.
And you gotta wonder too if he said before that like he wants to make it so that it's historical and it's safe again because I guess it needs a lot of updates. And that comes with money, So he did have a GoFundMe for a minute there, trying to get
Yeah.
some type of backing, so he
Mm-hmm.
could kind of fight all of this in court. And they're still going. So it could be another year or 2 years before anything's really decided. And then if he wins, then I would hope that maybe he would start out with doing the renovations, keeping it closed, for safety purposes,
Mm-hmm.
making sure it's historically accurate and like not a fun house.
Right.
Not doing the other thing I noticed was so the museum in Massachusetts they're opening right now has lights, strobe light effects, fog machines, and music. So,
What?
I
Are they
mean,
making it into a fun house?
I can't help but feel like that's kind of the gist of it. I mean, I don't know why you would need a fog machine in a museum.
Right.
How
So,
they do the same thing in Zach Baggins Museum? I don't know about strobe lights so much, but there's definitely fog machines somewhere in the building.
right, but if you're doing like if you're only offering flashlight tours, let's say, even though when I looked on the website, it looked like there was like 23 openings for. I'm like, so you're open 24 hours a day? That's where I was getting confused. I was like, what are you? What?
Hmm.
How are you doing a flashlight tour in the daytime? Is it all blacked out, and then you're expected just to kind of like going through completely blind without being
Right.
able to see anything unless you're looking at a flashlight? So that's where I was kind of getting confused as far as like their flashlight tours go, or if they're offering just regular daytime tours, where it's not flashlights and strobe effects and fog machines and spooky Halloween music, um, or playing the Conjuring movies on a TV, or whatever they're doing. Um,
Right.
but it does remind me a little bit of the cigar bar down in Milwaukee that's localized to us that we've investigated before, and in the basement they do have like I don't want to say disco ball, but it's some type of light effect thing
Mm-hmm.
over a grate, you know. And I felt like it became kind of hokey and pointing at things with black lights and those kinds of things where like, well, clearly it's gonna glow. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
a building, so
Right.
you wash it once with soap and soap residue glows just like blood does. So,
Mm-hmm.
looking at it with an investigator's eye, I guess, is the best way to I go through it. But
Mm-hmm.
people who just want the scare effect of it, of seeing Annabelle and seeing all these possessed items and things, like I think that's where they're gonna be making more of their money versus The Conjuring, which doesn't. I mean, if you want it to be historically accurate, it's not gonna have lights and sirens and spooky music and fog machines and the whole thing on 200 acres. The house itself is pretty small. Um, and I think for safety reasons, I think they should just keep it as a touring thing at first, and then just kind of determine from there like where they can go. they're
Mm-hmm.
probably going to have to go through, zoning and historical society meetings. And, if they do make it open to the public where it's going to be like an overnight thing, I would imagine they'd want people to stay off of the property, like on the property, but not in the house itself, because that's where you start getting liabilities of things. And I was
Right.
thinking, like, well, what if they did like a cute little, like, yurt situation where, people are kind of in glamping tents or something like that, where you have all the amenities, but you're not physically in the house 24/7. So you can have teams that come in and they're not damaging property and they're not taping things or nailing things or, those kinds of things that where it's like historically, like, it's going to be tricky, especially with
They
electricity.
didn't they do that before when the previous owner they had like camping out in the yard? Didn't she try that? I want to say she tried that where it was like you could camp on the
Sounds horrible.
property.
I have not heard that, but um, it's a big enough property where you could.
Right. But I don't remember if it was like you can camp on the property and then go into the house, or you're just camping on like she made it into a campground kind of thing.
Right. That, yeah, I'm not totally sure. And I know there was some other kind of legal struggles with her as well before she lost the property. So
Right.
maybe there was zoning issues or something like that where it was, kind of legally tied up with that stuff too, and that's why the mortgage had fallen behind so far and everything else. So
Hmm. And I get it. I mean, we've been to locations before where, yes, you have to keep up the property, because things happen. It's out in elements, like everything. It's not in a bubble. So, um, they also are in, some of these properties are in the north, some of them are in the south. You got different types of weathers. You either got hurricanes coming through, or tornadoes coming through, or blizzards, whatever. So you've got upkeep on those properties one way or another. And and then you got to pay for the insurance and stuff like that. It does get expensive. Um, but I would hope that, with Jason coming in, that he keeps everything in check and keeps to his word of I'm going to make this affordable for everybody so everybody can enjoy the property for what it is and the historical value of it and stuff like that. And not to make it into a money making kind of circus that some places have, which, not to be negative, but I want to say that's kind of what I feel like the Warren house has turned into, is like this little, it's supposed to be an Airbnb type thing, but it seems like it's turning into like a little mini circus of paranormal, not paranormal activity, but just a circus of what was supposed to be the Warrens' legacy, and trying to go on the coattails of their legacy and trying to make money off of them, um in a more, not, I wouldn't say disrespectful, but not as respectful as they had initially made it sound. You know what I mean?
yeah, I know when we had first kind of started watching some of like those Facebook lives when we were going through, and then we were seeing like a bunch of the Halloween, memorabilia and stuff, and I was like, what is this? Like, is this like their decorations for Halloween? They're just like, oh, let's display them in a room and it'll be a fun haha, like they're into spooky stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just felt kind of like disingenuine, I guess is the best way to put it, where it like kind of boiled down to like, ooh, you can like spooky stuff if it's like pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns and like, ooh, like, Costco Halloween decorations. Like, that's where I
Right.
was kind of like, what is that? Like, you
I
have to
thought it
make your house a fun house.
I thought it would have been better if I know that they couldn't keep, because it's the Warrens' house. They had their family members take things out that they needed to take out, like any family person passes away, you divvy up, stuff that you felt was important to you for that family member, and the rest kind of just either goes to an estate sale or tossed out or whatever. I would have thought it would have been nicer if you could like recreate what it looked like.
Right.
And so that you have that experience of this is what it was like to be Ed and Lorraine, and this is what the desk looked like, and this is their living room and how they lived, and it could still be an
Right.
Airbnb.
You can humanize them
Yeah,
without poking fun at them.
right, right.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was gonna make a point about the demonology like apartment. Now I know like shortly after, I think it was when Lorraine died, is when that girl had kind of come forward and said all of the kind of alleged misconduct that Ed had like kind of gone through the years, kind of doing, and it was very interesting that supposedly that apartment it was hers. So to call it a demonology apartment, I feel like kind of just sweeps the icky part of their history under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that personally.
Right. They were humans. They made mistakes throughout their lives, like everybody does. Um, but you can't just take what they did and just make it your own thing,
Yeah,
and assume this is what they wanted.
yeah. But isn't Tony kind of doing the same thing though? In that the first Conjuring movie, right? Like Lorraine was a part of it a little bit.
Hmm.
Like she would be on set for some of the things.
Hmm.
But I feel like the vast majority of it became a lot of just Tony kind of taking the reins of creative director in certain things. Um, and I feel like it kind of spun off into another universe of like Hollywood.
Right. I mean, looking through things, for the longest time, I didn't know that Judy had a son.
Yeah.
I knew she had a daughter, but I didn't know she had her son Chris. And then, you know, uh, looking into Chris's activities with his grandparents and stuff like that, I feel like that's a big part that was missed in the whole Conjuring and of Ed and Lorraine's life. And it seems odd, and they have their own family dynamic, and I can't fault them for whatever might have happened. That it seems like there's like some kind of falling out between Chris and Tony, maybe. And but the last movie, it seemed like Chris in real life had a lot to do with that movie or that case, and he was just tossed aside.
Yeah.
And I don't
And
know if
I think
that was just because Tony didn't want to have Chris in there. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the dynamics was, but
it
it just seems like Ed and Lorraine's legacy has gotten into muddy waters.
yeah. And it felt to the outside person, it felt a little like if you're stepping a toe out of line. Like
Hmm.
the spoon fed narrative. I'm giving these people,
Hmm.
I will ruin you. that's
Right.
that's the way I took it, in that like when it first kind of came out about the sale of the house, um he had come forward and he was like, "Hey, these were my grandparents, and like I don't want people just traipsing through. Like that is my memory of like going there and my grandma making me cookies, and like
Hmm.
she was a normal grandma, and like you're just basically making it so she's like this scary, medium lady who just talked to the dead all the time and was crazy."
Right.
And he's like, "That's you're kind of trampling on my own memories and trying to rewrite it to something it really wasn't." And then it got shut down like almost immediately, where it's like, don't talk about it, like this is the sale's done, like we're gonna let you have no part in this family, you're ostracized.
Hmm.
So that's where I was kind of like that. And then we saw the movie, as one of our outings, like as a fun thing for us to do. And then it was kind of like the narrative in that story again, where it was like, didn't talk about him but somehow talked about the daughter, like romanticized this whole thing. And it was like,
Yeah.
she had a partner before she met Tony.
Right.
a whole person with
Hmm.
someone else.
Right.
You can't just erase their history because it doesn't fit your narrative of how you want it to look.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, there's a spoon feeding thing that I don't appreciate with
Well,
with
and
this.
same with, okay, so you bringing in the Warren house and then the Conjuring house, that has that connection between Ed and Lorraine. And when you look at the history of that one, that case, Ed was thrown out by the
Mm-hmm.
father. As soon as they started doing whatever kind of, they thought the mom was possessed or whatever, and the dad basically kicked Ed and Lorraine out, said get out, and that was it. That they were done. But in the movie, it was, oh no, we saved them and everything was great. You know, we were able to come together. Both families were really close, and that wasn't the case. And I feel like, again, I know they got to make things good for the ratings of the movies and stuff like that. But again, what actually happened in that case? What, how far into it did Ed and Lorraine actually go? Because it doesn't sound like they went very far in the Conjuring case. And the only ones that really can tell the story are the girls, because they're the only ones that are left. And unfortunately, right,
Right.
Andrea is dealing with cancer. So,
Right.
you know, she's been dealing with that for a while. Um, and the girls are, you know, all getting older, and, you know, some are going through some really scary things in their lives with their health. So, you know, the real truth will end with them. Because where is the documentation? Are you able to see that when you go to the Conjuring House? Can you look at the files?
Right. I'm sure it's in a glass case in a museum that you can't touch.
Right.
So
I would hope. I wouldn't want anybody touching any of it.
well,
I
definitely,
understand that, like the actual files, but like, could
for a couple
it would
years
be nice if they like photocopy them and put them in a binder or something like that that
Sure.
could like
That'd be
look
cool.
through and see how did Ed and Lorraine actually document their cases. You
right,
know, what did they write down? What was their methodology of how they went in and investigated? Yeah, you can go back and watch the clips on YouTube with Tony interviewing his mother and father-in-law, but to see it in their own handwriting and how they did things and how much information did they actually document.
right. Where they're not videotapes, audio, like cassette recordings or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. Because it's not like the Conjuring movie sounded like maybe she was using like a cassette recorder of some sort to like do the interviews themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it would be really interesting to actually hear any of that, because you can't. I mean, you can nowadays fake things, but when you back in the day, like it was way harder to try and fake any type of like emotion through recording. You'd really have to
Right.
be a very good actress or actor. I
Right.
feel like if you're recording someone and that's probably the most vulnerable someone is going to be is acknowledging that they have a problem and they don't have an explanation for it,
Right.
and coming to these complete strangers who are supposed experts of dealing with something like this and like having to be vulnerable and open yourself up for scrutiny
Mm-hmm.
and lying and threats, not only for them but their family, so that's got to be really really scary as well. So I would imagine it wouldn't have been a situation they would have taken lightly of being like, oh, let's just see how far I can fake this before I call
Right.
it quits.
Right.
So
And just as an investigator, you know, going back and being able to look at how they did their interview processes and, you know,
mm-hmm.
learn from them, you know, because they had their classes. You could do their classes back in the day,
Right, right,
but now they're gone. So for those of us that weren't able to take those classes, what did she actually, or what did they actually teach? How did they go about teaching these new investigators? You know, that would be something that should be involved in that, or at least you would hope it would be involved with that, because that's, I think, what Ed and Lorraine really wanted, is to be able to tell people of how they did things, and that's why they did their lectures and stuff like that.
Yeah, educating. Yeah,
Hmm.
sharing the knowledge. Yep.
Right. And I think that has been lost since they passed away. And I would hope that their team members that they had created before they had passed would continue that on. I'm sure they do in some sort of way, but it would be nice to be able to do that at the Warren home and see it. Play a video, like you can have one of the rooms where it's just you go into that room and you know they have them at museums and you watch these videos.
Right.
Why can't you do that?
Right. You're going to tell me you don't have a single video of her giving a lecture or him giving a lecture or an
Mm-hmm.
interview or anything. Instead, it's like third-hand account of things. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like that's a whole other bucket of worms.
Yeah, I know. I know. We can go down that rabbit hole a different day, but yeah. Well, like I said, I hope Jason can come through this and make it a positive for everybody. And it's going to take a while because it's the court systems. The United States is not known for very quick
Hmm.
turnarounds when it comes to these things. And, you know, rightfully so, there's a lot to go through. And you want to make sure you do a thorough job and you get all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, so that the Conjuring home goes to the proper person and is taken care of properly for the rest of its time that it's able to still stand.
Yeah, and no offense to Matt Rife and Casty, like I hope that they have the most success that they, all the success they deserve with
Right.
whatever they're doing. I just hope in the future that it doesn't become inaccessible for the rest of us to
Mm-hmm.
kind of have that history as well. Um, I know we had talked about like doing like we've been to paranormal conventions where college age students come up to us and ask us like, "Hey, how do I get started?"
Mm-hmm.
That's a no conversation's a bad conversation as long as it's moving forward in a positive direction.
Right.
When it starts becoming name calling and
Hmm.
cutting people at the knees kind of a thing, that's where I'm like, well, it's not what I'm here for. I'm not
Right.
here to like
Yeah.
tell someone, well, you're wrong. I'm trying to come into it with an open mind. I've never done this before in my entire life, so what do I know?
Right.
I can give you the
Right.
experience.
Well, even still, like none of us, even the ones that, you know, we've been doing it for so many years, none of us are professionals. None of us can say we're experts because it's the unexplainable. That's the whole point.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Until we can find some, you know, proof that is undeniable. This is what's happening. This is what we can prove.
What is it called? Oh golly, where did I put it? The word that they used. Um, prima facie. So
Uh-huh.
until it's prima facie.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Prima facie. Interesting.
Prima fancy.
Yeah.
Right?
Latin.
Wow. I mean, I
It's just
hope.
like I feel like investigating is as scientific as you could possibly get it, where it's you collect evidence and
Hmm.
then you can, if you can recreate it or have an explanation, then it's not, like it's not a paranormal thing.
Right.
It's explainable, So in a way, we're kind of working backwards from a scientific explanation of, A plus B equals C. We're going
Right.
A plus B equals F. Hold on here.
Right. It's not something that is new. This paranormal has been going on for centuries. Centuries.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just that, you know, it for a while there was nobody talked about it. And then everybody talked about it. And then it was back in the closet and nobody talked about it. Now it's back out of the closet and everybody's talking about it again. You know, and then you have those people that, like I said, they're just there to have that fun experience. I just want to catch something. I want to see something. I want to experience something paranormal. Um, but I don't care what it is. I just want to make sure that I experience it. Well, I want to know why I'm experiencing this. What is this? You know, and I would hope that that's what the Warren House is going to continue to be able to do, and the Conjuring House will be able to do. Right or wrong, or how much people pay, that's up to them if they want to do it. By all means, go pay for it. But I want to make sure that when I pay for something like that, that I'm able to get in there and do what I'm supposed to be doing as an investigator. And not just experience the funhouse smoke and mirrors type thing. Because I can do that anywhere. I can go to any haunted house around here and pay for, $30. I can do it right here. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Right in your own home.
Right in my own home. Right outside my door right now. Yeah, I don't need to do that where I'm gonna pay an arm and a leg to look at smoke and mirrors and stuff like that. I want to be able to investigate.
Right.
And
feel, touch, see, smell, and not be behind a paywall.
Right. And I don't want my hands tied.
Yeah. Well, for the listeners, definitely leave your comments because we're definitely interested in hearing other points of view. And if you've been there, would love to hear your experience, especially if you've published something. Like, what was that process like? And how did you feel?
Right.
I think that would be really interesting to hear.
Absolutely. Did anybody ever go to the classes too that Ed and Lorraine had? It's like,
yeah.
If you guys want to talk to us about it, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, our website, S.E.W.P.I.T.com.
You can email us at S.E.W.P.I.T@gmail.com, or you can message us on any of our social media. One last thing. This Sunday, the 23rd, we will be out at Summerween at the Beach Oasis here in Racine, Wisconsin. They're going to have trunk or treat, and yes, we're going to be involved in the trunk or treat as well as be vendors there. They're going to have DJs. They're going to have costume contests for children and adults. And like I said, they're going to have trunk or treat for the little ones. They can go trick or treating in the summertime. So it's going to be a fun time. It's not supposed to be too hot. It's supposed to be in the 70s this Sunday and sunny. And we're down by the lake. So if you got nothing to do, come see us.
Kevin will be highlighting a sucker girl this year.
Yes.
Right.
Now that I think about it, I might go out and buy a bunch of dummies. Dummies is in the
boy.
Suckers, people, suckers.
Suckers, yeah. I have to bail. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We're going to end it then. So for our skeptics, keep us grounded. For our believers, keep a believing. And we're S.E.W.P.I.T. Have a good night.
Good night, you guys.
Bye.